Welcome back, Salty Gamers, to the 10th month of the Gl Leia Rush account. So let's get into it. We're currently on the 4th of April. So we've got Captain Tarpos in the calendar this month. Really pushing these Gungans. We're 1.75 million GP. Got some rewards to pick up. We just fell short on our Grand Arena yesterday. We'll just fire through these dailies. We'll see what progress we've made. So we're still on signal data in the cantina. Picking up the usual shipments. Don't usually do this, but this is a hard mode. Seer. Pick up charge shop currency. Right, do that. Select the war, pick up the American Starfighter just for more charge shop currency. Do the challenges. Okay, so journey guide then. This is how we're looking on Leia Farm. We currently have one left to do. We got really lucky during last month. We've got 20 pieces here and we've got 20 pieces here in total. So my plan for this is pretty much just get 5 of these and hope that in the next raid we'll be able to pick up these. So again, 5 of these, and I don't need to farm these specific pieces. And I can go all in on signal data. There we go. So we should have a raid so we're at 149. Possibly Sunday we should get the raid running. So next week we'll get our raid rewards, and that will give us our when they come in the store, that will get Gl Leia up to relic, and that's just got all the relics done. So all gear 12 pieces will be finished. And then I'll look to build up what Gl Leia needs as I build signal data. So the reason I'm stopping at that is so I could use the crystals now to push signal data here. So we're limited on crystals. We're at 800. We need to be careful that we don't overspend our crystals and be totally out every week, because we're going to have to play it off of GAC and just to see how well we do on GAC. But this will help speed it up. So we've done our 3 refreshes. We might manage 2, maybe 1 refresh per day at least. And then we've got basically 2 incompletes and then 12 more flawed signal data, and then that will be Rolo done. and then it'll be on to push Troopio, Captain Rex, Scout Trooper, Captain Drogon, R2 up to R7 and R8, and R5 for Gl Leia, and that will be us done. So I predict no longer than May. By the end of April we should have this done. We should have Logray up at gear 12 after the next raid as well, and then that's when we could look at, we'll be looking at Gl Leia's gear requirements to make sure that we could get her unlocked and then push her as far as we can without having to wait for gear. What I've been doing so far is just building on mods here, bringing them up slightly. So Phoenix is all pretty much gear 11 minus Kanan, so I'll bring him up to gear 12 at some point once I get more currency after the raid. We've got Sabine up at gear 12, so what I'm doing as well is I'm working their mods, just trying to push that extra speed. And that's the plan with that. So this is the teams as we have them: CLS, the Imp Troopers, Phoenix, Bounty Hunters, R1, Rogue One, Mothma, and then we've got our Logray and our Care Bears, and then we've got our Peridia Patrol, which will use these two, and this team will sort of break up and go into other trooper teams at some point. So those that are sharp-eyed will notice that we've got a lot more tabs on the left. That is because this is going to be sort of similar, sort of the running order. So we've got Jedi Knight Luke here, and we need to start buying out Wampa and Hermit Yoda. Wampa being the first one that we're going to get, because we'll fire the Omicron on. That will give us some more offensive power. And then we've got Hermit Yoda, and that, with finishing off CLS into Relics, will give us, and Vader into Relic, will give us Jedi Knight Luke. So we need to farm tickets for Gl Leia. We won't be able to constantly buy them out the shard shop because I don't get that much shard shop currency for 5,000 all the time. So what we'll do is we'll be farming this, and as we farm it we'll be using it on 8th Brothers node for IG 2000 because it's a light side node. Then Houndstooth is also a light side node, so we'll be doing that. And then we've got IG11, another light side node, because he's needed for our Beskar Mando unlock. We could finish off Mon Mothma in terms of farming, and then I fired in 9th Sister because I've got a plan here with Inquisitors. We'll also need to farm out Mission and Zalbar for Jedi Knight Revan, so we'll be as well getting a start on that for the farm. So if for the Revan, so when we're farming tickets, we'll be as well starting these. Priorities are these two, 8th Brother, Jango Fett Knight, and the IG-11, because these will unlock our bounty hunter ships to then grab the Millennium Falcon, and that's needed for Jedi Knight Luke also. So that's the priority. Mon Mothma will be nice to get, and Inquisitors in Mission and Zalbar will be nice to get. It will lead us nicely into Beskar Mando, where we just need to pick up Queel, and IG-11 for that anyway at 7 stars because we've got the other 3. And then the Revans also, that will give us 3 new teams. So we'll have Cartonasi with Zalbar Omicron, with Julie Bindo and Johanny. This team should make up with Zalbar's Omicron, but it's only when I get Zalbar's Omicron that we'll use this in GAC. Then we'll have the main team, which will be Jedi Knight Luke. And the team I'll run with that is Jedi Knight Revan, Bastila, Grandmaster Yoda and Hermit Yoda. And that will give us that assault battle. Then we'll have the Sith Empire team, of which we'll need to fire in somebody else out of HK for the assault battle for the Sith, but this will be the Sith Empire team. We could fire in a Sith Empire Sith character as well, and that will fire us through that assault battle, or we could add Vader or Palpatine in there. Beskar Mando as explained, and then looking at what we've already built and where it leads us, and what we've already got pre-farmed out, we could get Dr. Aphra. We've got most of the requirements done, in terms of we just need to finish Sana Staros. She's got a team ready to go. BT and 000 are hard mode farms, but I think the dark side. Oh no, so if we're really struggling for tickets and we need extra farms, we've got BT1 on the light side, and I think 000 is the dark side. So we've got 2 low level hard mode farms, which will really help for that farm, so that shouldn't take too long. And then we've got Hondo, who's a Cantina farm, easy farm, and he's a neutral character, so he works on both teams. He's a scoundrel. He helps under Dash, and he helps under Balin as well as being a mercenary. So that will help there, and you'll get us the Smuggler's Run 1. He's part of that requirement. So on to Starkiller. We've got Mon Mothma with Kyle Katarn. If we fire up the Emperor Palpatine team, which we're relicking Darth Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin is going to be needed in the next raid. Don't know if we'll be able to farm out the new clones for him, but if we get that possibility, we might be able to fire that team up, and that gives this team some viability for that. So there's another requirement, and then we need Darth Talon, who's just a Sith, but any of these could then fit into the Sith Empire team for the assault battle anyway, and this is a good team for killing Geos or any team that attacks out of turn. Savage's Omicron can also work on its own and be like a mini Wampa. Then we've got Dash Rendar, who we need to relic out with his Outrider, his ship, for Jabba down the line. So getting him just plays into all this. Ness is good for killing stuff that attacks out of turn. It makes you survive G11 and Queel. This is not the ideal setup, but it's a setup nonetheless. Bo-Katan will get farmed out as we farm out Jolie Bindo, so she might be a potential, but this will basically be just random scoundrels with Emphas Ness in here. Then we go on to Balin. So Balin doesn't have many requirements at all. We've got our Night Sisters, Great Mother and Morgan Elsbeth. We've got Thrawn, and then we've got 2 that I forgot to add in here. Mercenaries, which is Shinhati and Marek, but they'll go in the Balin team, but they could also work under no, they can't work under Dash, but they're hard mode farms. They should become double drop farmable shortly, and it makes it worthwhile then relicking up Thrawn, not just for C but for the Balin journey. Great Mothers we're going to be farming out anyway, so it makes sense to build these up. This is subject to change. We could put Peridia Patrol in here, in terms of taking 2 like the Acolyte out and Talia out and firing in the other 2 Night Sisters in there, and then same with the Inquisitor team. Marek could go in that, so there's a lot of flexibility there. Jedi Master Luke then, that's where we would lead into, because we've got a lot more of the stuff farmed out. The only downside is the farming out of the First Order, which all these are shop farms. Even OG Kylo, just Crew is just a Cantina farm, but we've already got him almost at 7 stars, and I don't care for his ship. We're not building First Order at the minute, so if we have to, we could come back and fire a ship on at a later date, but not needed. Finn and Rey are both shop farms as well, and they're needed because they need to get Jedi Training Rey. Same with Veteran Smuggler Han and Chewie. They can be used in a Tarful team for Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, and then BB-8 is needed, which is why the First Order is needed to get Jedi Training Rey. So this leads to BB-8, this leads to Jedi Training Rey. If you've watched my Gl Rey rush, that's the team, sort of what we've done. And then these are the other requirements out with what we've already got farmed out that we need relicked, and then we've got Jedi Master Luke, so we wouldn't be that far ahead once we have Jedi Knight Luke farmed out. Jedi Knight Cal Kestis will give that bump up for the Jedi team, so we would then switch in our Reverend farm. We would just switch out one of these Jedi, probably Hermit Yoda or Grand Master Yoda, and fire him with Galactic Republic, and put in Cal Kestis just to bulk up that team. We've got unaligned Force user, which makes use of Kylo Ren. We could either use Jedi Training Rey, or we could fire in OG Kylo. Now Jedi Training Rey will be in relics, that's why I fired her in there. This is a good territory war team because we've got a double Omicron with Cal Kestis and Ahsoka, and it also does some work either holding or some offense in Grand Arena. Saw Gerrera isn't the best, but if we get a Luthen through Conquest or through Proving Ground, then he gets a wee bit of a lifter. We've got the OG Night Sisters, that just gives us another offensive power, and then we've got a Wookiee team, which I just don't know who else to add in here, so it's right now it's a 14. And then that would lead us into Jabba, where we don't need to pick up very much more. We just have to get Cad Bane, Kirstante and Greedo done, which is easy enough. House will be done. Boba could get relicked out, but he's already gear 12, so his ship is ready for grabbing Millennium Falcon. Then it's some more Hutt Cartel, some Jawas, and I don't need to build out all these teams, but I like to have use of what we're farming out. We've got our Ascend already done, she just needs relic. Fennec Shan's a hard node, and then we're going to get the Tuskens done, and then we've got another Dash team that it could be this team as well, where we get Skiffguard Lando, Vandor Chewie, Beskar Mando on here, so it all depends. So in farming out all this, we're also not far off Bo-Katan, Mandalore. So this isn't necessarily the running order, but this will give us a good start. So for this team we would need Bo-Katan Mandalore, we need Beskar Mando, Paz Vizsla, ID-12, the hard node fleet, and then we would need there's a Killer and Beck, and that would give us Bo-Katan Mandalore. So that's a potential to use the Mandalorian. Now in the Balin team, because we're using mercenaries and we're grabbing Balin, we're grabbing Darth Revan, we've got a lot of options here to use. So if we were to fire in this Balin here, there's Balin. So we've got Carthonasi, we've got Django, we've got these two. You know, so that's an option, or we could fire in Young Han, Dengar, Cal Kestis, even Beskar Mando, Hondo. So this is a really flexible team, and it can kill GLs as well. So that's what we're looking. So what the plan here over the next year after we get Leia is really capitalise on all the other game modes, but really push Grand Arena. So we want to be firing in these teams, but not just having them sitting like this where they're sort of half done. They'll be finished. They'll be getting in. What I mean by finished is they'll be at least Relic 3, possibly Relic 5, and that's the ideal. So we're just waiting on some pieces coming in for Canderous, and then we should have him. I don't know what we're missing. So it's that we're missing. What's that? Grab that. Let's see. So this is just building our fleet up, and then basically when we get this, I'll be able to then fire in him up to gear 11. So basically our idea would be to build out all these teams into Relics, starting with CLS as well, including finishing Radis, and then that leaves us open to, if we want to get them up to the level to go and grab Executor and Profundity, we're not that far off. But I'm not chasing ships on this straight away. I'm going to build another fleet. So this is the fleets I'm going to go with. I touched on it right at the start of the account. We're going to try and do something slightly different. Instead of going for the big fleets, I'm going to try and push the small fleets. So that's Tarkin, that's Admiral Thrawn, Mace Windu, and Akbar, using the ships that go with these fleets and seeing how far they could push me before I have to go and get GL ships. So this fleet will be not long finished. We'll be able to jump on to grab Raven's Claw now that we've basically finished all the farms for Gear 12 pieces. We'll just get that farmed out whilst we build up the other Gear 12 pieces for Gl Leia, and then we just need to push Millennium Falcon in there, which means that we could take out a Phoenix ship, probably the Ghost, and fire in the Y-Wing, and then when we get Outrider, Phantom comes out, Outrider goes in, and that's us sorted there. Our Bounty Hunter ships that we're going to go for is, we've got Slave 1, that's already done, IG 2000, Hound's Tooth, and Raven's Claw. We might even just pick up Dengar's ship because it is on a fleet node. I just need to unlock that fleet node, so that's a potential as well, and that just bulks out our ships for getting the Millennium Falcon. If I was to get Dengar's ship instead of Raven's Claw, then it saves another journey for Beskar Mando. That's the only difference. So we'll just have to play that by ear and see what happens. So let's just activate these ships up and see how far off we are. The good thing with Beskar Mando's ship is it's 2 farms to get them unlocked, which don't need to go high. So I either use them in a team or I don't. These 3 will be used, but I could take them to the bare minimum. Not even put gear into IG11 and I should be able to get through the battles, so long as these are high enough. You should tend to be able to do this at gear 9 anyway. And then that will give us that done. So that's a potential, and then we don't even need to use these because they could go in droid teams or other teams. Where did I have them put? So I could change this team out and have different people in here. instead of Queel in IG-11 and Bo-Katan. So there's that potential. But we've already got the Razor Crest finished, so it makes sense picking up Escarmando, and that would work for that ship. And then we've got the full Empire fleet, so that means that we'd pick up the Shore Trooper, we'd pick up both of these. I've grabbed them, Gar Saxon and Super Commando for the Gauntlet, and then pick up Palpatine's ship, of which we've got both of them at 7 stars, so it's just gear. And then Iden, which we get her ship, that's a fleet farm. I'd probably farm out our ship before I do our team anyway, and that gives us another pretty easy, pretty good fleet. I've held on one of my other accounts, I've held in the top 20, between top 20 and top 50 a lot just with this fleet at gear 12, so it's doing wonders. And then we've got the OG sort of Mace Windu fleet focused around clones, throwing in Ahsoka and Anakin in there as well. And that, if we pick up this fleet, then that leads us into gas at some point later down the line. So doing this really opens up some avenues into other journeys. So that's where we are with the account. And I've not used my normal energy yet because I need to do Kyrotech farming, of which we need 400. So I'm just going to jump on to the swiggle.gg and double check what we need. Characters, yeah. So we need 400 Mark 7s and 300 Mark 9s, which is a good way around it, because Mark 7s are on light side and Mark 9s are on dark side, so to farm out a lot of Mark 7s through light side nodes helps us. So we come here, there's our Mark 7s, we need another 250 of these, which is why we're not relicking of anything else. Where do I go for this? Just go here. And then our Mark 9s, we're at 200, so we need another 100 Mark 9s, and we need 150 or 250 Mark 7s. So another 100 left. So we're not getting any. The way I'm doing it now is, if we stop getting any drops on it, we'll come out, we'll go back into Mark 7s, and we need 250 of these, that's what it was, and then start farming out these. See, now we get Kyrotech drops again, and then we get nothing. These are good to get because it gives us bronzium wiring, and then we just keep building out these. So we need 400 and 200. 400 and 300 for Leia. So on our gear side of things, it should be reasonably, with the raid rewards, we should be able to pick up what we need. We've got the injector head salvage, and then we can pick up the gear 12 pieces once we get the new, we get Gl Leia done. And basically, as we unlock Leia, we'll just hoard everything to do with her. Not a single other character will get a shred of gear until we get her unlocked. So the last gear 12 piece, the Kyrotech piece for gear 12, is Mark 7s. So that's our last 100 piece. So if we could get to 200 of these before we unlock her, and do the last 100 as she's getting up to gear 12, or as we unlock her, we'll be in good standing for all our Kyrotechs. And all our other gear is quite standard. A lot of Carbantes and salvage guns, but nothing too crazy. We've got 60 med packs. We've got 80 med pack salvage. Sorry, we've got 160 med pack salvage. So that's the big one. So we need to spend a lot of currency on getting that. And then we've got like one furnace piece, one data pad to get gear 12 to 13, and then we've got some HoloLenses, some binoculars. So it's not too difficult to get to relic from what we've got. It's easy enough to build up that stuff. But we will basically use swigo.gg to make sure that we've got this stuff sitting, waiting to go, by just going into other characters that's got it, or going through the store and just saying, right, we need that, buy it. So that is what we're looking at for April's farms. April was just basically this week finish off Gl Leia signal data and prep for Leia's gear with some mods. I'll find out the good mod set and just start farming out on another character's mod set, and just have the mods prepped to go straight on her once we unlock her. Old Ben needs to go up to gear 12, well, relic, which he'll get used in the Jedi Master Luke anyway. And then I'm putting in Ezra, but I just don't know who else to put in here. I'm just going to have a quick look at and go through this. So we go to GAC encounters, the way I find out what teams to do, and we'll go 5v5, and then we'll search if we're fighting Leia, and it's Leia Organa. So the standard sort of team, we've got R2, Leia and Captain Drogon, and then we've got Old Ben. Old Ben's featured quite a lot. We could add Stormtrooper Han, or we could add Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum, Jyn Erso and Radis has been put in, Mon Mothma's been put in there, Baze, Captain Rex, even Kanan. So it will just vary depending on what other teams we're using. Han and Chewie is used, but we don't want to split CLS up. Ahsoka Fulcrum's looking really interesting to use. Because with, let's see the percentages, if we add in Fulcrum as well. So there's only ever a 65% win rate with Fulcrum. Let's see. Old Ben. So if we use it with Ahsoka, Fulcrum and Old Ben, there's only ever been a 50%, the highest win rate's been 50%, and that's by using Jedi Master Kenobi. Now I don't know if this is with a Datacron, so if it's with a Datacron, you know, it is what it is, but let's try this instead. That saves us investing in a character we're not going to use. And she's almost done, so let's just promote her up. So she's got 14 shards. Buy her out the fleet store when she pops up, and that's the team. So we're going to go with Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum, Old Ben, R2, Captain Drogon, and Leia Organa. That's the top 3, and that's just so we don't have to split any teams. Now, when we get our unaligned Force users and Territory War, we'll use Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum, but we might split off and use somebody else somewhere else. Like Mon Mothma. If we're not using Mon Mothma, we could use, depending on the counter. But it's just so we don't split the team up. So that's where we stand here. We accidentally forgot to switch to Darkside Geo, so we're doing Darkside Hoth again. So I'm just going to fire around this because we've hit our sort of goal there. As for events, we've had Credit Heist, and then we've got this, and we've also got these to pick up. So I've done this one for Cal Kestis and Seer. I could do Merrin's one and pick up another 55 shards, Tarful's one and do the same, and even Saw Gerrera's. So we'll just do Saw Gerrera and work backwards. So if we pick up Saw Gerrera, he helps with getting and making use with Wedge and Biggs with his team. But if we split Mon Mothma up, he could also pick up the other rebel fighters and be used under them. Right, so we've done the marquees now. That gives us extra shards for these guys. Straight away 4 stars, so they're not that far off grabbing the teams. So that's where we stand now. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, any advice on where to use certain characters or not to bother with others, then feel free to drop them in the comments and we'll take them on board. Not necessarily follow them, but we'll take them on board. And look forward to next month's review, and where we should hopefully be pushing Gl Leia. If I do get there sooner than I imagine with Gl Leia, and we've also got, just pardon me, a side note, we've got double drops coming in May for May the 4th. It happens every year, so that should push some of these farms further as well, especially the ship farms. So that should help there. And if I get Gl Leia slightly ahead of the video update, I will do a separate video of the Gl Leia unlock as we go through. So thanks for watching, and remember, stay salty.